Hello, my fellow Blue Jackets fans, and welcome to Boom and Gloom, a Columbus Blue Jackets fan podcast where I discuss the boom and the gloom, which is the good and the bad of CBJ hockey. My name is Anthony. You may have seen me on social media using the handle Whaler Jacket, and I am North America's longest suffering hockey fan. A Hartford Whalers fan of old, a Blue Jackets fan at present. I've been waiting for my favorite hockey team to have sustained success for over 40 years. Thank you for tuning in today. If you are new to the podcast, please remember, I'm no expert, okay? I'm just an average fan who enjoys talking about the Blue Jackets. I have no sponsors. I do not ask for likes or subscribers or followers. This is just a labor of love. So thank you for taking the time to listen. Now, you'll have to excuse me for a moment. My mouth is kind of full from eating all this crow. Yeah. I am never too proud to admit when I am wrong. And boy, was I wrong. In my last episode, I analyzed the Jackets' chances to climb back into the playoff race. I said they would have to go 4-1 in their last 5 games prior to the Olympic break to feel they had any real shot at the playoffs. I actually predicted they would go, they would go 3-2. 3 wins, 2 losses. And instead, what did they do? They won all 5. Currently on a 7-game winning streak and they've won 11 of their last 12 games. And that includes going 10-1 under new head coach Rick Bowness. So yeah, I admit it. The team has proven me wrong. And they have had success despite players like Adam Fantilli and Kent Johnson still not playing at the level I would have expected them to play at. Now, granted, Fantilli has been getting a lot of assists, but he's not scoring goals at the level we all expected. He had 31 last season, so I was hoping he'd be in the 25 to 35 range this season. And even Kirill Marchenko is not scoring goals like he should. And yet, the Jackets keep winning. Just imagine for a second if Marchenko, Fantilli, and Johnson all just woke up. In fact, as I said before, I think the Jackets would have had much more success earlier in the season. Like they'd have more points by now if KJ and Fantilli and even Sean Monahan, if they were potting goals like they did last year. They would easily have 4 to 5 more wins right now with that extra offense. But again, the team is still winning. The confidence they're showing, the swagger they're showing, it's commendable what they're showing. So I am definitely eating some crow right now. I said this team was done, and they are clearly not. However, I do stand by my preseason prediction that they would not make the playoffs. Not by much. Okay, I said that they were going to be like a bubble team. Just on the outside looking in. And it looks like I could still be right about that. But the question is, will they prove me wrong again? Because you know what? I would sure love to be proven wrong. Let's take a look at the Eastern Conference standings and discuss what the current situation actually is. The Jackets are realistically trying to catch 4 teams. There is no way, at least in my opinion, that they're ever going to catch the Carolina Hurricanes for first place in the Metro. I don't think any team is going to catch them for first place in the Metro. So that leaves second and third place in the Metro and the 2 Eastern Conference wildcards as options. So let's take a look at the wildcards first. The Jackets currently have 65 points and sit 5 points back of the Buffalo Sabres, who have 70 points and currently hold the first wildcard spot. The Boston Bruins sit in the second wildcard spot and have 69 points, so 4 points ahead of the Jackets. And the Jackets have a game in hand, 1 game in hand on both the Sabres and the Bruins. They have played 57 games while the Jackets have played 56. And who do the Jackets play in their first game back from the Olympic break? Yep, the Boston Bruins in Boston. So that is what one might call a 4-point game. Especially with that game in hand, that game becomes very, very important for the Blue Jackets. And I'm not saying that others are unimportant, but going forward, they all are. Okay, they're all going to be important games, but this one especially. Coming back from a 3-week break to face the team directly in front of them in the standings presents an amazing opportunity and a great challenge for this team. There are many fans who have mentioned that they wish the break came at a later time because the Jackets are rolling right now, and you don't want them to lose the momentum they have. I get that, but I can see both sides here. Okay, I get that you want to keep it rolling, like keep that winning streak alive. But I also appreciate the break they're going to get, and that every team is also getting that same break. So the Bruins coming back are going to be just as rusty as the Blue Jackets. I just hope the Jackets come out flying and attack this Bruins team that has played well above expectations this season. And as a Whalers fan, let me tell you, I learned to hate the Boston Bruins. They were like Adams Division rivals, especially with their geographic location. In fact, I can honestly say that I dislike the Boston Bruins more than any other hockey team. And if I had to list all the teams I dislike, you know which team would be only 1 spot above the Bruins? The Penguins. The Pittsburgh Penguins. I can't stand them either. And that's who I'm going to talk about next. They currently sit in second place in the Metropolitan Division. They have played the same number of games as the Jackets and have 70 points. And as a reminder, the Jackets currently have 65. Interestingly enough, the Jackets and Penguins actually have the same number of wins. The difference? The Penguins have lost 12 times in overtime, or a shootout, I guess, compared to 7 by the Blue Jackets. So there is your 5-point difference right there. Why in the heck are the Penguins so good, by the way? I mean, I firmly believe their window was closing. Then, just somehow, they roared back to life this season. And meanwhile, the Jackets have not made the playoffs in what, 6 seasons? Something like that? 5 or 6? Crazy. I wish I knew what the recipe for success was. Is it the fact that they have Crosby and Malkin? I don't know. Is it coaching? I don't know. Regardless, because of the same number of games played, I'm going to put them as the 4th best option for the Jackets to chase for a playoff spot. Like, second place in the Metro is their 4th best option. I'll put Buffalo at 3rd. Buffalo Sabres. the Bruins at second, and then the New York Islanders at number 1. Now, just real quick with Buffalo, just again, they have 70 points, just 1 point ahead of the Bruins, so 5 points ahead of the Jackets, and once again, remember I said 1 game in hand. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, okay? But Islanders, number 1. And honestly, now that I think about it, though, I would probably put the Bruins and Islanders tied at 1, okay? So that means the Blue Jackets' top target here for making the playoffs would either be the last wild card or third place in the Metro. But I would much rather them go for second or third place in the Metro. The Islanders. They're a team like the Penguins, okay? They make me wonder, why are they so good, okay? How are they so good? You look at their team on paper, and it just doesn't scream, top 6 team in the conference. And the Islanders have not helped the Jackets at all during their last 2 games. They went to overtime with the Penguins before beating them they beat them in overtime, which allowed the Penguins to get a point, which was like the worst outcome possible. Both teams get at least 1 point. And then in their last game against the Devils, they got a ridiculous, lucky bounce with 3 minutes to go in the third. I think it was a little bit more than 3 minutes, but right around there. They got a lucky bounce to beat the Devils. But again, they are 4 points ahead of the Jackets with 69 points, and the Jackets have 2 games in hand on them. What is really going to annoy me is if the Islanders sneak into the playoffs ahead of the Blue Jackets by 1 or 2 points. If you recall, earlier in the season, the Islanders beat the Jackets in what I thought was a controversial game. The Jackets were up 2-1, and then Zach Werenski, of course Zach Werenski, scores to make it 3-1. But the goal is waved off because the ref said Charlie Coyle interfered with the goaltender. Well, I am on record expressing my strong disagreement that there was no interference, and coach at the time, Dean Evison, decided not to challenge. The Islanders scored 2 more goals in the final minute or 2, I think, if I remember correctly, and won the game 3-2. Frustrating game. But it's weird to think that waved off goal now has the potential to determine whether the Jackets make the playoffs or not. And I suppose you could say the same thing about other games, like the first game of the season in Nashville, where there was another goal waved off for goaltender interference. But since the Islanders are a team the Jackets are trying to catch in the standings, I think that kind of makes it worse. And guess who the Jackets play in their second game back from the break after they play the Bruins? Yep, the New York Islanders at home at Nationwide Arena. Those first 2 games back from the Olympic break are going to be huge, just massive games for the Jackets with massive playoff implications. The Jackets win those 2 games, extending their streak to 9, and they put themselves in a very good position. Now, this seemed to work last time, so I'm going to make a prediction again and say the Jackets will win 1 out of those 2 games. If I had to predict, I would say they lose to Boston in Boston and then come back home and take care of business against the Islanders. But we shall see. Next thing I want to discuss, Zach Werenski as a Norris Trophy candidate. Norris Trophy awarded to the league's best defenseman. If you stop the season right now, ended it right now, In my opinion, Zach Werenski would have to win it. And I know that Bouchard currently has more points by one. And if Zach continues doing what he is doing right now for the rest of the season, he would have to win it, right? I mean, his competition, let's look at his competition. You have Evan Bouchard, Cale Makar, Hudson, and Quinn Hughes. Worthy as well, absolutely. Very, very good defenseman. Top-notch defenseman. But most of those guys play for top 5 NHL teams. Then they have superstar players to help boost their stats and make it easier for them to do their jobs as defenders. Zach Werenski doesn't have a McDavid or a Kaprizov or a McKinnon. Zach is once again putting his team on his shoulders and dragging them towards a playoff spot. He is way more valuable to his team than players like Makar and Bouchard or Hughes is to theirs. He has more goals than any of them, that's for sure. Currently, he sits 1 point behind Bouchard. And let's not forget, he has played less games than any of them because he was injured for, 4 games? I think it was 4 games. But if we are talking about sheer value, Zach Werenski is the most valuable defenseman this season. He is the best defenseman by far, in my opinion. I have seen lots of talk suggesting it depends on whether the Jackets make the playoffs. If the Jackets make the playoffs and he continues at this pace, he wins the Norris. If the Jackets miss the playoffs, the trophy goes to someone else. And I think that line of thinking is a huge load of garbage. Sergei Bobrovsky, all right, he won the Vezina with the Jackets in 2013, and the Jackets did not qualify for the playoffs that season. So consideration must be given to the team that surrounds him. All right, Zach is our team's superstar right now. He is doing this, putting up these numbers, playing this well, without the talent that surrounds the top defensemen on other teams. So I just hope that if he continues to play at this level for the rest of the season, the voting committee, whoever that may be, I don't know who votes for the Norris Trophy, I hope that will be taken into consideration, whether they make the playoffs or not. It is an individual award, not a team award. Zach should not be, for lack of a better word, punished for playing for the Columbus Blue Jackets. It should actually be something that makes him even more qualified for the Norris, doing this well on a team like the Jackets. And speaking of accomplishments, how about that Charlie Coyle? He had his second career hat trick recently, and he continues to put up points. The dude is on fire. But since this is boom and gloom, I have to put a bit of a negative spin on it. Look around the league and tell me if you find another team that has their third line center as their top scoring center. You won't find one. That's how rare this is. Charlie Coyle currently has the third most points on the Blue Jackets. And it's not only a testament to how well Coyle has played for this team, but it is unfortunately also proof of how Fantilli and Monahan have taken a step back this season. So I don't want to take away from what Coyle has done, because he has been very impressive, both in what he has done on the ice, but also you can see his leadership. But I am disappointed that Fantilli didn't, I'm going to say repeat his breakout season from last year, but didn't, and I'm not saying he had to take a step forward again, but he didn't come close to where he was last year with his goal production, or that Monahan's production has declined. Now again, Fantilli has been racking up the assists. He has 23 right now, which already matches what he had last season. But only 13 goals, when last year he ended up with 31. So this goes back to what I said earlier. If Fantilli and Johnson, who had 24 goals and 57 points last season, compared to 6 goals and 18 points so far this season, if they were performing anywhere closer to where they were last season, I think the Jackets would have 4 to 5 more wins and would be sitting in a playoff position right now. Just my opinion, of course. There's absolutely no way to prove it, but that's what I think. So what does Don Waddell do here? I don't envy the position he is in. He will have just 12 days, I think it's 12 days, after the Olympic break ends and the roster freeze lifts before the NHL trade deadline on March 6th. Waddell has to decide, is what we're seeing now just an extension of the coaching bump that you always hear about? Is this team going to come back down to earth quickly? Or is this team really going to fight for that playoff spot now? If Waddell decides it would be safer to sell, who goes? Who gets traded? And if he decides that he's going to swing for it, who does he bring in? Does he bring in anyone? And if he decides to sell, I would have to think he would need to strongly consider trading Boone Jenner. Okay, think about it, and if you're hearing that and being like, we can't trade Boone Jenner, think about it with your brain instead of your heart. I understand that he has been a Jacket his entire career so far, right? And I know he's the captain. I know he means a lot to the team and the community. But that might be the wise decision. And I'm not sure you give up on Charlie. You give up Charlie Coyle at this point, okay? Unless the return blows you away. He seems like a great fit, getting older, but a great fit to maybe, bring back on like a 2-year contract. Then you have Mason Marchment. Out of the 3, he would be the guy I would be least interested in trading. He seems to be a good fit for this team too. So I would kind of like to see him extended for a couple of years, maybe. Just don't overpay him, Don. Don't do it. Because that seems to be the trend. You overpay for a guy, and then they come back not nearly as productive as the previous season. Okay? That's like, I hate to say it, but like Elvis's contract. You gave him that, Yarmo gave him that huge contract, and he never regained his form for what earned him that contract. So Waddell's got to be smart here. But Boone Jenner, I say trade him. Get some good assets for him. And if you want to, if it fits your plan, you could always re-sign him in the summer. I mentioned in my last episode that the Jackets have actually done this before. When they traded Jeff Sanderson to the Vancouver Canucks at the trade deadline, then brought him back immediately in the summer. So there is a precedent here. You can do it. But if I'm being honest here, if the Jackets are still fighting for a playoff spot, I would kind of like to see Don Waddell do a bit of both. Ship a guy or two out, bring a guy or two in. I don't have my eyes set on anyone in particular, but I have said numerous times that I don't feel this team is built for a deep playoff run. Sure, they might be able to sneak in, but does anyone actually see them going very far? Maybe winning one round? Maybe? So if Waddell wants to swing for the fences here, then he's got to make the team better. And not just for this season, but for the future as well. And that is a daunting task, to say the least. Like I said, I do not envy his position. It does seem like he made the right move firing Dean Evison and bringing in Rick Bowness and making the trade for Mason Marchment. So I'd like to give the guy some credit here and trust him. But after 25 years of mostly failures, forgive me, but it has become very difficult for me to actually trust the Blue Jackets front office. So we'll see how all this plays out. Late February through March is going to be a very exciting time across the NHL. You know, with so many teams still fighting to make the playoffs, especially in the Eastern Conference. I'm looking forward to it. Expecting frustration and defeated hopes, but still looking forward to it. Okay, something else I wanted to talk about today, since there aren't any actual NHL hockey games going on right now. The Tampa Bay Lightning played the Boston Bruins in a Stadium Series outdoor game recently, just like the Blue Jackets and Red Wings did last season. The Lightning and Bruins both then decided to wear their Stadium Series jerseys again for home games after the outdoor game. And I thought this was fantastic. Wear that special jersey at least one more time. Wear it on your home ice and let the fans see it again. The Red Wings also did the same thing last season. But guess which team did not? Yup, our Blue Jackets. Their Stadium Series jersey is a thing of beauty. It might just be my favorite jersey of all time. I mean, it's going to be hard to unseat the Hartford Whalers jerseys, but I do really love it. It is one of my favorites. And I am so disappointed that they chose to never wear it again. It was worn once, and that was it. Very baffling as to why the team made that choice. Why not wear it again? Why only wear it one time? And I'm not alone in my love for it, okay? I mean, even just some casual research on message boards and social media, it'll reveal how much Blue Jackets fans love that jersey. Just look at the crowd at any home Jackets game. Those jerseys are everywhere. Fans are still wearing them. And there are quite a few of them. So I think this was just a huge missed opportunity by the team to wear something so seemingly universally loved for more than just one single game in their history. Just a wasted opportunity, if you ask me. But it brings up another question. Is it time for a rebrand? As much as I love the Blue Jackets and love their team color scheme, I have never really thought that their current primary logo was anything special. And I read a discussion on Reddit recently that said the Blue Jackets may have one of the most unrecognizable logos in all of professional sports. And while I like that main logo, I don't love it. All right. I see a lot of people suggesting simply changing to their to the third jersey, the Canon jersey, like the Canon logo as their primary one. But to be honest, I'm not a fan of that idea either. I'm not a big fan of that third jersey logo. I think it's bland, to be honest. I like it, but it is bland. A lot of people are also saying, to help with brand recognition, that the jackets should lean more into the Civil War roots of their identity, of their name. The example given was the San Jose Sharks. Okay, so I'm referring to a specific post I read here. If you see that logo, that San Jose Sharks primary logo, even if you don't follow hockey, you might think it's a really cool logo. And you would be easily able to guess that the team that it represents is a team called the Sharks. So the idea is change the primary logo to something more recognizable, something more associated with the Blue Jackets. There probably, if I'm being honest here, many people out there who still have no idea that the name Blue Jackets is a reference to the Union Army in the Civil War. Like, they have no idea of the historical aspect of it. Someone looking at a Sharks logo would not make a mistake. Okay, let me tell you that. They would know exactly what they're looking at. A team called the Sharks. So the idea, again, is to lean more into the Civil War theme. And to do that, how do you do that? You lean more into the cannon. You make the cannon more prominent, just like the Stadium Series jersey. You make it more of your team's identity. And I'm not saying just make the third jersey logo the primary logo, because again, I think that logo could also use a bit of a facelift. It's fine, it's good, I like it, but if you're going to make that your primary, I think it would need some tweaks. Therefore, considering all this, I have a theory. And I'm not sure even I buy into my own theory, to be honest, okay? But it is a theory that I have. I think it's a possibility. And that is that the Blue Jackets marketing department is well aware that the Stadium Series logo and jersey were a huge success. I think they are well aware. I think that it's possible in the next 1 or 2 years, we will see the Blue Jackets rebrand to some form of that logo and jersey. And while I have said I love that logo and jersey, I will admit that I think it could use some tweaks to make it even better. I'm no graphic designer, so I can't even tell you what I would do to change it. But when I see that logo, I know it represents the Columbus Blue Jackets, but I would like the whole hockey world to know it represents the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I'm not sure what you do. I'm not sure, do you like add a flag, add some lettering like CBJ, or a hockey stick or something like that? I honestly don't know. But my theory is that this team knows it had a winner with that jersey and logo, and they're going to do something about it. They're going to run with it. The Stadium Series, the Blue Jackets' participation in the Stadium Series was just last season. For comparison, the Carolina Hurricanes adopted a tweaked version of their 2023 Stadium Series jersey just this season, like the start of this season. So it took them 2 seasons to implement it. So if the Jackets were following a similar plan, that would mean next season we would see the new logo and jersey. And for the record, the Hurricanes continue to swing and miss with their jerseys, but that's neither here nor there. If the Jackets are brewing something, and I hope they are, I would expect to see it next season or the season after that. Now, again, this is just a theory, okay? I have absolutely no data or inside information, just a theory I have. So here's what I would like to see. If my theory is correct, I would like to see a new look with some iteration of the cannon becoming their primary logo. Okay, some updated version or some form of that cannon. I would like to see the logo in the jersey inspired by, but not identical to their Stadium Series logo and jersey. Then I would like to see one of two things. So let's say that happens, okay? Let's say I'm correct and they get a new home and away jersey, okay? New logo, new home and away jersey. I would like to see one of two things happen after that. Option 1, the current primary logo, the star with the flag wrapped around it, I would like to see that become a secondary shoulder logo. Say what you want about the current primary logo, but I like it enough to at least keep it around in some form. There's a lot of history with that logo, so I think it's worth keeping in some way. So I say put it on the shoulders as a secondary logo. Or option 2, since then you would now have a cannon as your primary logo already, eliminate the current third jersey and logo and use the current primary logo as your third jersey logo. I said the word logo a lot there and I realize it. Okay, but that's what I would do if it were up to me. And personally, I like option number 1 better. Okay, the current primary logo becomes your shoulder logos. Then you don't have to change the current third jersey at all. Even though it would both have cannons on it. They would be similar. However, like I said, we want that. We want the Jackets to lean into that Civil War history, lean into that cannon, use it as the symbol that represents your team. So what do you think? Do you agree with my theory about the Jackets doing a rebrand? Do you think that's a possibility? Do you agree with my thoughts on what they should rebrand to? I would love to hear about it. I'm going to wrap up this episode, so I will end this show with how I usually end it, and that is with an invitation to contact me. I would love to hear your thoughts on today's episode, especially your take on the jerseys and logos, because I am a jersey nut. I can talk about hockey jerseys all day long. I'm obsessed with jerseys, and I have been since I was a kid. I was designing jerseys for my own fake hockey teams when I was growing up. Fake hockey teams that I just made up. I remember when I was in middle school, I came up with the Raleigh Jolly Trolleys and the Omaha Ho-Hums and the Boise Boingers, among many others. Just to be silly and have fun, of course, and just, experiment with drawing different logos and different color schemes. But I've actually kept those jersey and logo renderings to this day. And I'm sure there are many listeners out there who also enjoy thinking and talking about jerseys and logos. So feel free to reach out to me and let me know your thoughts, not just about jerseys and logos, though. Anything, any Jackets related questions or fair game, or even Whalers. I certainly don't get many chances to talk about the Whalers anymore. So you can contact me by finding me on Blue Sky or Instagram at Whaler Jacket, or just shoot me an email at whalerjacket@gmail.com. We have a long break before our next Blue Jackets game because of the Olympics. So shout out to Zach Werenski and Elvis Merzlikins. I wish them the best of luck in Italy, representing their countries and the Blue Jackets. So anyway, I won't be back here on this podcast until the season resumes, especially with the roster freeze. There isn't going to be much Blue Jackets or NHL news until then. But once we're back, things are going to pick up very quickly. Trade deadlines and playoff pushes, it's going to be a lot of fun, so I will record another Boom and Gloom episode during that time. Until then, take care. Thanks for listening. Hope you join me again sometime. Go Jackets.